How are you? My name is Adam Luke with Wild Ethos Counseling. A couple days ago, I released a video real quick on 3 ways that you could build instant influence in the life of your child. That video went on to be shared multiple times. I got several messages about it, and so I'm doing a part 2 to that video today because I had a question posed to me. And this individual said, well, Adam, that video works great if you have a child that'll engage with you. Right now, I don't have a child that wants to engage with me. I feel like my child is isolating from the family. I feel like they're lacking motivation. They're lacking having initiative. They appear to be lazy. Now, I want to hone in on that word. I don't fault this parent at all for using that word. In fact, I think that word comes out because we become so emotionally overwhelmed. And also as parents, we can be burned out. We have tried every way to connect with our child, and our child is not connecting with us. And so we start applying sort of our adult logic to the behaviors of a child. And it goes, wow, well, they appear to be lazy, like they don't really want to do anything. And what we're doing is we're assuming that child is emotionally navigating what they're going through right now with the mindset of an adult. And that's why it sets us up for frustration as parents, and it sets up our child for failure, because that's not necessarily the intellectual, logical platform they're going through. They're not using those and making decisions. Instead, I want to focus on what an unmotivated child looks like. Now, I'm going to conceptualize it as this is the kid that comes home from school, throws their book bag down, goes up to their room, comes down for dinner, goes back up to the room, and it appears from the outside like they do not have a desire to connect with their family. This is what we have to think about. When we're working with children that present as lacking motivation, there's 3 things we need to remember. First, I want us to revisit that feeling of they're lazy, or they don't want to participate, or they're being insubordinate to the family. There's a bigger takeaway from this. And it comes back to something that I talked about in that previous video, which is most of the time, what is actually happening is they're scared on how to connect. Maybe they've experienced rejection when they have attempted to connect, and now they're in a position of, well, it's easier for me emotionally now not to connect because then I don't get let down by my expectations or the reality of how our relationship is working when I'm trying to connect with mom, connect with dad. Once we bring that in as a parent and we allow that to sort of marinate on our own psyche, we can then go, okay, so what you appear to be doing is you appear to be pushing me away. But in reality, that child is also sort of wondering, what is your level of investment? Now, this doesn't mean we have to force them into common spaces, but what it does mean is that we can have more points of contact. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, I brought you some water. Hey, I was wondering, we're going to watch this movie. Do you want to join us? And so what you do is you continue to have these points of contact. I call it taking temperature. That sure, your child may say no, but as you continue with consistency, you're going to get a yes one day. One day you're going to be like, hey, we're going to Andy's for ice cream. And they're going to be like, you know what, Andy sounds kind of good. Sure, I'll go with you. Or, hey, we're doing blank. And then they join in with you. The big thing is to not pinpoint this relationship off of transaction. Because sometimes with teenagers, they get really into this mindset of transactional relationships. Social media has done damage in this regard because they are getting their worth from how many likes I'm getting, how many shares I have, how many friends I have, how many followers. All these things are how they base their intrinsic value. Now, we don't want to bring that in that, hey, if you do your chores, then all of a sudden you feel greater love and affection and connectivity with us. But when you don't do what we want, we sort of isolate you. We leave you alone. We say things that are hurtful. And coming out to a child that is trying to navigate, how do I connect, but I'm dealing with all these hormones and emotions. When we start prescribing what they're feeling, when we're saying like, well, you just don't care about people. Well, you're just lazy. Well, you're just being selfish. When we start saying these things, what we're doing is we're prescribing their responses. The response is going to be like, oh, okay, you want me to be selfish? You want me to not care? Then watch my grades tank. And this brings me to to what's either going to be the second or third point, because I've been rattling through these, but this is really the third point, which is, do not look at your child struggling at school as their lack of participation in life. A lot of times children struggle with how they advocate for themselves. And so grades will tank, and people are like, well, all we expect out of you is to get good grades. And the child is sitting there going, well, but now I'm scared because I don't know if I can give you what you want. All you ask of me is good grades. But really, I'm not understanding biology. You know what? I have no idea what to do in math. I'm really struggling in English. And what my parents are telling me is if I can't get those grades up, I'm not going to be valued the same as my siblings or the kids of my friends' parents or all these other things that are going on. And so this is just a quick takeaway, but something that I think is really important that we focus on as parents. We have to look at what is our child going through and how are they behaving, and then take that into consideration when we interact with them. Because if we come to the table and we realize you're not lazy, you're not trying to be insubordinate to the family, or you're not trying to ruin family events or memories, then all of a sudden we have a greater ability to hold space in the way of grace and mercy and unconditional positive regard. So this was a little longer than the last video, but there was a lot to go through. If you want to reach out and anything to continue this conversation, or you need coaching in how to be a better parent, or you think you have a child that needs therapy, I'm available. Go ahead, follow, check out my link tree. You'll be able to connect with me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.